So today I want us to revise ICT paper 3. So I'm sure in fact everybody in this group will be passing in group 2 or group 3. Okay. So today I was supervising GC practical paper 3, and I realized that some students were having like some small problem. In fact, the exam was not like difficult, but just that with this type of thing, you can be blocked on a small part of a question, and answering the next, in fact, becomes difficult. That's why I'm always telling my students that practical is not something that is in one day that you study everything and so on and so forth. No, when you study everything in one day, it's as if you are just trying the exam just like that to test and see if you have chance or not. Or whereas normally exam means preparation, like you're supposed to prepare so that when you're entering into the exam hall, you are sure that okay, no, I will make it good. But when you don't prepare last minute, try to do something, you're not sure 100%. And this is exactly what catch some students today. That is what some said the exam was difficult. Just saying difficult like that, but not verifying if you are really prepared. Some students also enjoy the exam and so on and so forth. Okay, so today I want us to revise. It's not as if it's the exact paper because I'm not allowed to share the papers and all these things. So yeah, I just want us to work on some areas, in fact, where you're supposed to concentrate. And there's easy things. All these are in the YouTube channel. Just that you don't really have time for you people to go and watch all the different videos again. Therefore, I planned that okay, today let me just try to do something like this, where I'm explaining some few concept backs, and this concept surely will help you tomorrow, or those that will be writing on Saturday. Okay, we are going to start. I'm sharing my screen here. Is everybody seeing, or is there any problem? Yeah, actually I'm on a Word document.
Yes, we are all seeing.
Okay, if you have any problem, there's a comment part here on this Google Meet. You can leave your comment there. Okay, now, so this is what happened. Yeah, what I'll be doing now is more of explanation. It's not as if I'll be solving a full question from start to end or something like that. No, I've just prepared a document here with a sample question. When I'm saying sample, it's simply looking like what came today. Yeah, so it's because I don't want to give you the exact question, but just know that all the different questions I will be giving you is exactly what came today. Just that the data and so on and so forth, no, they are different. And generally, what happened, group 2, group 3, they cannot really change the style of setting the question. No, you'll be having another question, but the style remain the same. And today I just want like to open your mind so that tomorrow in the exam hall at least you can reason, because this is another problem. Some students, when they're in the exam hall, like they feel things difficult and they cannot reason again. Even when something is easy, you cannot more reason. Now let me just start with this first part. So this is the question here. So tax A database. This is a small scenario. You are given a database school GB that stores information about teachers at Boya Secondary School. Okay. So like for this year, what happened is they had candidate folder for both tax. So meaning in Excel they had candidate folder, database too they had a candidate folder. Good. So here I'm going in the base where like I'm assuming that we have a candidate folder with some tables inside. Good. So assume that you have a database school DB. Good. Which is inside your candidate folder. Meaning that when you enter into the exam, if you have a candidate folder, you just open it. And before I even continue, there's this question that is always coming. Like students are asking, sir, are we renaming the candidate folder? Are we creating our own folder? Are we? No. When you enter into the exam hall, in fact, no need to create a new folder with your name. Just rename that candidate folder with your full name, and it's all. You work directly in. It's so that another student can decide to create a new one and copy everything in the candidate folder and paste it in the new file he created. But there you are choosing. Just know that at the end, what we are collecting is the folder found on desktop carrying your name. If you are not having that, it's a problem. So this is all what we are taking there. Good. Now, and the next thing also, some students have advantage, like some students cannot have disadvantage. Meaning what? Like the hall that I was invigilating today, I think there were about 19 students. So it was very easy for me like to help everybody, like to even check certain things on what the students are doing. But imagine a hall where you have about 50. It's not possible. Even your different questions, they cannot really help you. Like where I was today, I was helping students maybe to make screen capture. It was possible for me to help them in things like that, because when you're in the exam hall, also when you are working and something is disturbing, you just raise your hand up and ask the permission. There we are helping. In fact, the only thing that we cannot do is like helping you in equation. No, when you are asking where the equation that concern what's on your paper, there we are not helping you, especially if I'm reading the equation and there's no mistake, because sometimes students think that no, there's a mistake. If I read and there's no mistake, I cannot help you. I will just ask you to, if you don't know, jump or do like this and so on and so forth. Good. But when your question is not directly concerned on what's on the paper, sure they will help you. But note again that everything depends where you are writing. If you are writing where there's population and things like that, it will not be easy for you to call all the time and say, sir, like this and like that. No, you'll be disturbing, in fact. So take note of things like that. That is why for me, doing screen capture, printing things and so on and so forth, these are the minimum that you must know, so that no need to disturb someone for such tasks. Good. Now, so I was just telling it like that. Take note. Now we go to the next thing. Yeah, here we are seeing that we have a database with 3 tables. These are the 3 tables here. I'm having a table teacher, salary, subject, area. Now at this level again, the last time I sent video on normalization, I just hope everybody here just have looked the video, because if you lack there, in fact, problems start here. Because here when I be explaining, I'm assuming that there are certain things you people know already. Now here we are having 3 tables. Let us analyze the 3 tables. Here this is my table called teacher. Here I'm having teacher ID. Good. I'm having what? Surname, first name, subject, year of experience, and days of year simply means the number of days the teacher was absent. So I've described it here. This is good. But generally in the exam, if there's any term that they need to explain, they will explain it. But if the name is clear, they will not explain anything. Now here you are having another table, salary, teacher ID, subject code, annual wage. Okay, I'm having another table, subject area, subject code, subject name. Now, so these are the 3 tables that you are having. So we start the question. Generally, when we talk about practical, also this, like, let me just say theoretical part. So it is one good part that you are writing on your paper before even opening the software and start the practical. Really good. Now, so as I was telling you, I'm not having this kind. I did not created any candidate folder here. No. So, but in this document, I've tried to draw the different table with some few data inside. Meaning what? That when you open your candidate folder, let us say you open school GB, you are supposed to have 3 tables. The table teacher, this is my table teacher. Okay, we are coming back to that. The table subject, good. Subject area, okay. And the table salary. Good. So we are going to analyze each of these tables while answering questions. So these are the 3 tables I'm having in my candidates folder. Like when you open the database document, so you'll be seeing these 3 tables. Now, so let me just show an example. Like this database here. In the exam, let me just close this. Good. So when you open, you'll be having an interface like this, and if you look very well at the corner here, you see that here I'm having 3 table, buyers, equipment, item. And please note, what I'm showing you is not related to my document. I'm just showing an example, because at least I want to illustrate certain things directly in Microsoft Access, but it's not really related to the question. Who we are together here? Are we together?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Okay.
No, sir.
No. What's your question?
Question.
I'm just from starting, so if you're just from coming, just try to follow.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Now, so we continue. So, but note that what I will be showing here in Microsoft Access is not related to the question. When I say not related, it's in terms of data. Like, don't see the table buyers, equipment, item, and you ask yourself that where is that table in this document here? No, it's not related. But I will be using this, in fact, because I want to illustrate certain things. Good. Please, there's someone there. Off your mic. Off your mic. It's disturbing. Who is the person? Okay. Now we continue. So yeah, question 1. Someone, the mic. Who is this?
Sapura, you can direct me. You have the unlimited.
Everybody should close his or her mic to avoid this disagreement. The person is still having the mic on. The thing is that when I'm sharing the screen, I don't have time to control students. Okay, so we continue. Now, so this is the first question. The first question, they say, like what came today, they had something like determine the following table element after normalization. Good. So they asked them to determine the primary keys from the table they had. They asked them to determine foreign key. They asked them to determine composite key. Good. And I remember very well, I sent a video where I was explaining all these keys, in fact. So this question normally you're not supposed to have a problem. Let me start with the primary key. So what you're supposed to know is that a primary key is just what? It's just either a single field or more than one field that uniquely identify a record. So take note of that. Field there represents simply the column of your table. Now let us start. So the first thing is the table. Let me start with the table teacher. Now try to analyze the table. Are we there? Let us try to analyze the table teacher. Now on the table teacher, I'm having teacher ID. Good. Now for you to know if teacher ID alone can be a primary key, because primary key, remember, either a primary key is a single column of your table or it is more than one column. And when a primary key is more than one column, we call that a composite key. Good. Now but let us start gradually. So here I'm having teacher ID. Now for you to know if this teacher ID is your primary key, like just this column alone without combining with any other one, try to analyze the data on there. If you are not seeing any repeating item, it simply means that this column alone can uniquely identify each row of the table. Let me just analyze. So here I'm having CO1, CO2, CO3, CO8, 7, 9. Good. So you are seeing that there is nothing as CO1 appearing twice here. So this simply means that teacher ID can uniquely identify each record. So in this case, in the table teacher ID is my primary key. Good. Now surname cannot be a primary key because we can have different students with the same name. First name the same thing. Subject is impossible. Different students can offer the same subject. Like here I'm seeing math here, I'm seeing again math here, and so on. So by the time you're having a repetition, it's not possible for that column to uniquely identify a record. Years of experience, the same thing. Different teachers can have the same years of experience. Days absent in school, the same thing. So you are seeing that here we are very clear that the primary key is teacher ID. Good. It simply means because you'll be having a table in the exam when they're asking that. So this is it here. My first answer here is okay. Teacher table, I just write primary keyword, teacher ID. Good. Now, because in the exam, they will ask the primary keys, in fact, for all the tables. They ask the primary key for all the tables, they ask the foreign key in all the tables, they add the composite key in all the tables. Like, not like in all the tables, but you are the one to analyze which table is having primary keys, which table is having foreign key, which table is having composite key. Good. So now I'm done with the first table. Let us check the second table, salary. Okay, subject area first. Now in the table subject area, generally in the exam, you don't stress yourself. Generally, for you to analyze or to identify a primary key, the name of the column should be like having something, I don't know, something with ID attached to it, or something with code, or something with number, things like that, because generally these are names, in fact, used to uniquely identify records. So when I'm seeing a table like subject area, it's very clear that yes, subject code is uniquely identifying each record, because the subject name cannot uniquely identify a record. So it means that for the table subject area, my primary key is what? Subject code. Okay. Now we go to the next table. The next table here, salary. So you analyze something. In this table, you are having teacher ID, you are having subject code, you are having annual wage. Good. So annual wage here simply refers like the salary of the teacher. Now let us try to analyze. So by the time in a table you are seeing maybe a column which is primary in another table, like here I'm seeing teacher ID, but teacher ID cannot be the primary key of this table because teacher ID is already primary key in the table above there. The same thing if you see subject code. Good. Subject code cannot be primary in this table because subject code is already primary in the table subject area. So by the time you are seeing a table with two primary keys, or let me say with two keys which are primary in another table, it simply means that it is the combination of these two keys that uniquely identify a record in your new table. Meaning what? The table salary, my primary key here will be subject code and teacher ID combined together. Good. Not teacher ID alone, not subject code alone. No, because they are already primary in other table. In this table now, they are what we call foreign key. I'm coming to foreign key. So it means that for this table, the primary key is teacher ID, subject ID, both in fact. Now, by the time you have a table with this type of primary key, you call it composite key. That is why here, if you look my answers here, for the salary table, I said teacher ID, comma, subject code, and I'm precising here it is a composite primary key. Even though it's not necessary to precise composite primary key, but I'm just precising it like that. Good. So let me finish with the different keys before I will give the floor if anyone have a question. Now, so this for primary keys there. So I'm having 3 primary keys. In fact, the first thing or the first mistake that you're not supposed to do in the exam is it is not possible for a table in database to exist without a primary key. That one, note it, is very clear. That's why for primary keys you are supposed to identify for each of the table, and we had 3 tables up there. That's why I'm having these 3. Good. And you know that primary key can be a single column or more than one column, in fact, that you need to identify. So this is the first thing to do. Now, foreign key. What's a foreign key? A foreign key of a table is simply the primary key of another table, full stop. Meaning that the whole of the foreign key is to create what we call a relationship between tables, or let me say it's to link tables. Now, if you go back again, in the table salary, what is that table? Good. In the table salary, you realize that here you have teacher ID, and teacher ID is primary in the table teacher. So it means that teacher ID here is foreign in the table what? Salary. Good. Now you go again. Subject code. Subject code is primary elsewhere. It simply means that in the table salary, subject code is foreign. And it's all. Now go to the table subject area. It's very clear that here you are not having any foreign key because there is no column in this table that is primary in another table. No. The same thing with the table student. If you analyze the different columns, you realize that there is no other column that is primary in another table. So it simply means that for this part of primary key, for this part of foreign key, we have family. For this part of foreign key, yes, we have family foreign keys, 2 of them, teacher ID and what, and subject code, and always precise from which table you are taking your foreign key. Good. Now here I've precise something. References teacher ID in table. In teacher table, like here when I'm giving a primary key, I'm trying to indicate where that when I'm giving the foreign key, sorry, I'm trying to indicate which table is that foreign key referencing. Good. Like which table in I'm trying to indicate in fact the table where the foreign key is primary. Good. And here the teacher ID is primary in the table teacher. Subject, the same thing. This is what I'm doing. So we go down to composite keys. They are also asking for composite key. So composite key here is clear. We did that somewhere up there. The composite key is what? Teacher ID, subject code is what you are writing here. And it's all. Now, after doing this thing of primary key, they are asking something. They say they are asking the table containing composite key. This is a question that they ask also today. And it's very clear that the table where we have a composite key is the table of salary. We did that together. This is here. With that table, the table salary. Good. So you just write there salary, and it's all. So this first part, I think it was how many marks? 4 marks. 4 marks. Good. So from the explanation, I don't know if there's any question or everything is very clear.
As for me, everything is actually clear.
Good.
So can you explain again how you got the foreign key?
I said
For the last question.
I said a foreign key of a table is the primary key of another table. So when you are on a table, look a particular field. If you are seeing that that field is primary in another table, it simply means that field is a foreign key. Like on that table, you are saying teacher ID in the table salary. Whereas teacher ID is also existing in the table teacher and his primary key in that table teacher. It means that in the table salary, that teacher ID is but a foreign key. Are you getting it now?
Yes.
Good. And the aim of a foreign key is just to link. It's just to link the 2 tables. Link here simply means what? For example, when I'm at the level of maybe the table salary. When I'm having the teacher ID maybe TO1. If I go to the teacher table, TO1 is who? Is G. So you are seeing that from your ID, I'm able to know the name, the surname, the first name, subject, and so on and so forth. without recording all this data in the table salary. Because recording this data in the table salary, we are doing what we call repetition of data. And to avoid this repetition of data, that is why we are always using what? Foreign key. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
So we go.
Alright, so I got another question here.
Yes.
So does it mean that we can actually answer these questions, this set of questions, without even actually carrying a database on?
No. Like the table I'm actually showing here, when you open your database, like you see all this. Like when you open, you see, you have something like this. Are you seeing this table here? So this is how you'll be having your table.
Yes, sir.
So you double tap now to visualize it, in fact, before analyzing the way I'm analyzing.
Alright.
Good. And it's not as if all the years are like that. I'm just taking a case of today. But previous year, generally, they can give maybe a table directly on your paper and you analyze it directly here. Like the video I sent for sample this on database, that's Center Regional Mock. I don't know if you saw the video. You realize it's not similar to, it's similar, but the way they are doing, they are trying to change some certain thing. There, when you're analyzing based on a table you have on your paper. Whereas for this year, what they did is you are supposed to open first the candidate folder, open the database file, then you see the different table before doing this analysis. Are you together?
Yes.
Okay, fine. So now, so this is what they asked there. Let us go to the question 2. Question 2 is the next thing that they ask. They say, complete the table below with information about the 3 tables. So they are talking about these 3 tables up here: teacher, salary, and the subject area. Now, so what happens here is, it's very clear. They're asking you to complete this table. It should have completed the table already, but let us analyze it together. The first thing, because in the exam, this part that I'm selecting here is empty. You are the one filling it, in fact. So just to avoid wasting time, that's why I've solved this before, so that when I'm explaining, I'm going very fast. Now, the first thing here, if you look very well, there's a column called criterion. So it simply means that you'll be reading this column. You'll be reading information found on this column to know what you're supposed to do. Good. Now, and after reading this, you're supposed to apply it where? On the teacher table, on the table teacher, the table salary, and the table subject area. Now, let us start. The same number of records. You ask yourself, what's a record? Things like that. When you're in the exam hall, you don't know what is a record. It's a big problem. It's a big problem. So a record simply refers to the rows of your table, the different rows, except the header of the table, because you cannot count this as a record. What am I selecting here? Okay, yeah, except this one here. For a particular table, the headers in fact are not counted as record. Good. Record is from where you are collecting data. Please, a minute. I want to take something. Okay. Hello. Hello. Okay.
Hi. Yes, sir.
We continue, please. We continue. We don't have time. Okay. So yeah, the number of records, as I was saying, records simply represent the different rows of your table. So it simply means that when you open your database, just go and count the row. Let me just take the case of the table subject area. Let me just take this case. So the number of rows here starts from the number of records. I want to say it starts from here. Good. So here we have how many records for subject area? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Good. So don't forget that records here are the row. So you see me on the level of your table subject area, you just fill it in fact, and the answer here is what? 6. So you do the same thing for salary table, the same thing for teacher table. In fact, the table you'll be having in the exam. Now, the same number of attributes. Good. Even here you need to know what are attributes. Please never forget this. Attributes simply refer to the columns of your table. This is what we call attributes. Like if I take the case of the table, maybe subject area, the number of attributes here is what? 2. Subject code and subject name. So attributes are columns of the table. So you need to know all these names. Either we call columns of the table attributes, or we call them field. Good. Like today they use the term attribute. Tomorrow they can use the term field, in fact. So take note of things like that. Now, for the record also, I want to mention something. For record, either we call them record, yes, as you saw, or we call them row, or we call them tuple. Tuple. Let me just write the spelling here. Don't know if you can see. Let me just write it somewhere here. Okay, under salary. This is the spelling of tuple here. Good. So this is another name of rows. So in the exam, if they ask for the number of tuples, they are just asking for the number of rows. Like that, just asking for the number of records. So please take note of this. Okay, let me clean this. So it's the same thing that you are doing and you are filling there. Now the next thing, what are they asking? They ask number of key fields. Good. When it's the number of key field, the key here represents primary key. So it's all. Like in the teacher table, we had just one key. In the teacher salary, in the table salary, we have what? 2, because the table salary was having a composite key made up of 2. The table subject area, we have just one key. Good. So the key field here represents primary keys, in fact. Now it's the number of fields. So yeah, you see, they even repeated the equation. Number of fields and number of attributes are the same thing. Field and attribute mean the same thing. And this another confusion students were having today. Like they think that maybe it's different, and from then on they start tracing, they cannot answer the question well. Okay. Now before I move to the next question, is it okay?
The number of
Pardon? One person at a time. Pardon? How to calculate the number of? I'm saying that key field represents primary key. This is the meaning of key field. A key field is a primary key. Take note. Key field, primary key. Like in a table teacher ID, we had just one key field, one primary key. That's why I'm writing 1. In the table salary table, if you go back to salary table, this is it here. Where is that table? Salary table, we had what? We had teacher ID and subject code joined together, composite key. So it means that in this table we have how many key fields? We have 2. That's why you see I'm writing here 2. Now, and in the table of subject area, we just have one key field. Meaning there we had one primary key. And that table, I think it was what? Subject code. Are you getting it now?
Yes, sir.
Good. Any other question?
Yes, sir.
Any other question?
No, sir. Yes, sir.
Someone is saying yes. Ask your question. We move to the next place.
Number of record.
The record represents the rows of your table. The rows of data in your table. Let me precise. Rows of data. Examples. The table subject area. These are the rows of records here, right? Without counting the header. Because the header is not a record. Take note of that. Good. And another name of record is tuple. You can see tuple in class. This tuple here. This is how you spell it. Tuple. Take note of that. So we go to the next. It's okay. We go to the next. Now the next question, which is question 3. Okay. They say study the structure of the tree table off your mic. Please, someone is having a mic on. Okay. Question 3. They say study the structure of the tree tables and implement the keys identified in question 1. Now let me explain this one. What happened here is at the level of the GC board, they gave you a the mic of someone. They gave you a database, and in that database, let me just show you something. Let me open something here for you. For example, here I'm in Microsoft Access. I'm having a table buyer. Now, if you move at the level of view, this is view here, you go to design view, because when we are creating a table, generally the procedure is what? Let me just start from 0. Let me start from 0. Close. Generally, when you are creating a table, the procedure is clear. You go to create. After create, you click on table. When you click on table, you fall on this interface. Now, here what happens? You click back here on view. You will see design view. Now, design view, in fact, is a place where you'll be creating your table, like by giving the different columns of your table and by giving the name of your table. Let me say I'm having a table called table 1. Okay, or let me just, yes, table 1, something like that. I click on OK. Then I enter the different field of my table. Let us say the first field is ID, the second field is maybe name, and the third field is maybe, I don't know. Oh, sorry. The third field is maybe, okay, I did a mistake. Now, generally, when we are creating a table, also you're supposed to give the data type of the field that you are creating. So here, Wait, I'm having a small mistake. The name you supply is reserved for. Okay, I'm seeing the mistake. Let me just correct it, please. Okay, now, so yeah, I'm saying name, you give the data type. They say that the name is a reserved name. Let me just call it first name. I cannot use that as a field. Go, it's not working. Now, yes, okay, let us say you're having something like this. The next thing that I precise is a table should not exist without a primary key. And how to add a primary key? If you observe here at the level of this ID, by default, the primary key is already there. Let me remove the primary key first. Let me remove the primary key. Okay, now, imagine that you have a table like this without any primary key. And you think that maybe your primary key is the column ID. How to add the primary key? You come and select like this. And if you look up here at the level of this bar, beside the view tab, you see primary key. You click there and a key will appear. Now, why am I explaining this? Simply because at the level of the GC, but when you open that your candidate folder, after opening the candidate folder, let me just show you exactly where you fall. What happened today? Okay, when you open your candidate folder, you'll be having tables here at the level of this left bar. Good. Now, when you click maybe on one table, let me just click on the table bar like this. When you click on this table, you are seeing that the table is already there with columns and data inside. Fine. The question is the primary key precise in the software for you to verify if the primary key is precise? Because when I'm looking this table, for example, this table, it's very clear that buyer ID is the primary key. But is the software recognizing buyer ID as a primary key? For you to verify that, you go to view. Where you're having view, you see this small drop down. You click on that drop down, you see design view. You click on design view. You see the design. Okay. Here, this table is having 3 fields: buyer ID, first name, and last name. And if you realize very well, the field buyer ID is having a key beside. It simply means that the software recognizes this field as a primary key. Now, what this question is saying is that the table that you are having, like the table that the DC board created for you, they do not precise the primary key. Like the software is not recognizing any field as a primary key. Meaning what? That when you open that software, you fall here. By the time you go to design view, you realize that all your different tables is not having a key. Like you see something like this. You see something like this. Wait, let me. This table is having data already. That's why it's not working. Sorry. Let me just go back there, please. Okay. You see something like this. Good. Like you see tables having things like this, but without a key. Without a key. Like the table we had here. So you see, example, if I take the table salary, let me just take the table teacher ID. Normally teacher ID at this level, yeah, let us say this is your teacher ID. Teacher ID. Normally you are expecting a key here, but when you open your own table and you come to design view, you realize that there is no key and you are supposed to add it, and it's exactly what the question is asking you to do. Because sometimes another problem that I realized today is question interpretation with some students. They are not able to read and understand what they are asking. So let me just read it back again with that question. The question says, study the structure of the 3 tables and implement the keys identified in question 1. It simply means that the 3 tables that you'll be having in Microsoft Access, they are not having keys. You are supposed to add them now. That's why the first question we're asking you to identify them first. Like identifying the field that are keys. So that when you be in the software now, you precise it normally. Good. And if I'm inside my software and I've identified that, okay, teacher ID was a key, you just come and select the row. You select the row like this. You go up there, you see primary key, you click, the key will appear. Then you right click the table, you click on save. Good. You click on save. Now, so you do same now. I think there was another table with, I think we had also this table. What is that table? We had the table called, let me go. Okay, we had the table subject code. The same thing, you open your subject code table. When you open it, you go to view, design view. You read this level, you select the subject code field, you click on primary key. Now, the next thing is, there's one table that you open. What is that table? Let me show. The next table that you open is the table what? The table salary. And in salary, what happened there is, both teacher ID and subject code are primary key because here we have a composite key. Now the question is how to add a composite key in Microsoft Access. Let me move here. Now imagine that this is my table here. I'm just taking this key. Let us say I'm having my table here, subject code, okay, and let us see the other field was what? I think it was something like annual wage, something like this. Okay, now so you are seeing that in this table what happens, the primary key is both teacher ID and subject code. Now another student will say, okay sir, I will just select subject code and click again on key, but you realize that when you are doing that, the key disappears from teacher ID. So now note this very well. To put a composite key, please you select all the different rows that take part in fact in your key. In my own case here is teacher ID and subject ID, so select both at the same time before pressing down on the key up there, so that the man will add the key on both of them, like what I'm having here. If you look very very, you see that there's a key beside teacher ID and there's a key beside subject ID. So just to tell you that for composite key, you are not selecting each field to add the key. No, you select the whole, in fact you select all the different keys in a composite key, then you add it. So this is all what I wanted to explain here. This is all what I wanted to explain. This is what they are asking. So you do it in fact for all the different tables where you identify the key. You do it for the 3 tables. So before we move to the next question, is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So
Yes,
please
sir.
take note of this type of thing in the exam. Take note of this. Good. And it's all. That's why you're seeing is 2 marks. There's nothing there. Now, and this is why this is another thing. Some students today find the exam difficult because of this type of thing. Like imagine that you are not able to add these keys. How are you going to answer the next question that's followed? The next question is under relationship, creating a relationship between your table. And if you do not even precise the keys of your table, how are you going to create a relationship? Nothing will work there. You'll be having wrong result each time. That's why I'm saying that in fact endeavor to master some key things in Excel, so that in the exam you are not blocked because of a small thing. Good. Now let us go to relationship. Now generally to create relationship is very easy. Let me just take an example. It's so that I did that question already. Let me close this without saving. Okay. Generally to create relationship, you go to database tools. You click there. You see relationship. At this level now you add your different tables. So here I created the table. Let me just try to delete this relationship. Is it possible? Okay. Okay, so in your own case what happened is when you open relationship, you add the different table. You add this different table. Meaning what? When you open, you see this window will appear. And for you to add a table, what happened? You just select. Imagine I want to add this table 1. I select on table 1, I click on add. So this is what you'll be doing in the exam for all your tables. You just select and you add them. And in the exam, if you're having 3 tables, this is how you'll be doing it. Now, in my 3 tables, look at something. We had one table called what? Teacher, with teacher ID as primary key. So you see teacher ID with the key beside. We had another table, subject with subject code as primary key. You see that table here. Now generally the table that contain composite key, or let me say the table that contain the foreign key of other table, put that table at the level of the middle, like this one. Take note of that because this is an example here. Like in this table here, this is another example. Here I'm having here buyer ID, but you realize that buyer ID is primary in the table buyer. Now here I'm having item number. You are seeing that item number is primary in the table item. It simply means that it is my table equipment. It means that in this my table equipment, buyer ID and item number both are foreign keys. In fact, they are foreign key. And if I combine the two at the same time, they make the primary key of the table equipment. So how to create relationship? To create relationship is very easy. You go at the level of the table where you have your foreign key. Like here, I'm at the level of table equipment. My first foreign key here is buyer ID. So you select buyer ID, you click on the left button of your mouse, and you go and link it to the field where he is primary. And he is primary in my own case here in the table buyer ID. You lift your mouse, you see something like this. Now, there's this checkbox here, enforce referential integrity. You click on that, then you click on create. Perfect. You do the same thing. Still at the level of the table equipment, you see item number, and item number is foreign. and he is primary in a table item number. So you select it, you click on the left button of your mouse, then you drag it and you go and join it to what item number. Then you click on enforce referential integrity, create, and this is how you create your relationship. After doing that, you move at the level of relationships here. You right click, you save your work. Good. So we are done with relationship. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir. We are following up, exactly.
Fine. Okay, we move to the. Please, just give me 30 seconds. I want to plug my computer, the battery. 30 seconds. Bien. Attends, j'ai fini mon cours. Okay, we continue, we follow, please. Okay, we are done with that question on relationship. Now, but it's not all. Let us read that question again. The question says, create a relationship between the three tables. We did that already. Now, the next thing they say, take a screenshot of the relationship window and paste it into your screen capture Word document. Now, let me explain what happened today. What happened today is, normally you were supposed to have, because you people were having a candidate folder as I was saying at the beginning. And in that candidate folder, you were supposed to have a Word document. Like your job normally was supposed to open the Word document in your candidate folder, and when you be doing screen capture, you paste it there. But they did a mistake and their candidate folder was not having the Word document. That is why in the exam hall, I was giving them the instruction to the student like, create a Word document and save it in your candidate folder, and some students could not create a Word document and save there. Are you seeing that this is a problem? When you have this type of problem, in fact, we cannot even help you. We cannot even if I help you, for me, I cannot trust again that you can do something in this practical. Things like that. So just play this type of small tasks. Try to practice and know how to do it. Now let us do it together. So if I want to create a Word document, you go at the level of search bar, you just type Word, you open your Word document. Good. Now you click on blank document, so this is your interface here. You save it first. To save, now you go on file, save as. Good. When you click on save as, you have an interface like this. You click on browse, because the idea is to go at the level of desktop where you have your candidate folder. Good. And make sure to rename your candidate folder at the beginning before even starting anything. Rename it's so that you can rename at the end with your full name, so it depends on you. There's no problem. Now you look for desktop. This is desktop here. Now my candidate folder, I think I had one here that I renamed with my name. In fact, anyhow, let me just use this. Let me assume that is my folder here. If so, I click in there. Now they say that the name of the Word document should be screen capture. So I just create screen capture. I click on save. Perfect. Now the next thing that I want to play to you people is, please, after creating something and saving in your candidate folder, always go on your desktop and check if the thing is really inside. Always do so, because I had a student today. He told me that, sir, I saved them. I don't understand why I'm not seeing it. I don't really care in that case, because there's no time. Generally, when they say stop the exam, you must stop. So I cannot be checking where you save and things like that. So always check. In fact, now there's a small remark I want to make. Let me just make that remark now, because some students are not aware. Generally, when you click on save as, you choose maybe where you want to save it. Let us assume that, okay, your candidate folder. Let me just click on desktop. Let us assume that your candidate folder is maybe this thing. Good. Now the next thing is, if your candidate folder is this form 5, some students, they come and click just once like that and they start writing the name thinking that no, they're in form 5. Never. Always double tap, in fact, and when you double tap, you look at the level of this bar up here and check if the name of your folder is being written up here. If the name of your folder is not being written up there, simply means that you are not inside. and by this time when you are saving, you'll be saving but outside of the folder. So always click and you are sure that you are in by identifying this nav bar. I don't know if people are following my pointer. You see up there where I'm pointing this from file, the name of the folder you are in should appear here. This is the only thing that can make you very sure that okay, I'm saving inside my folder. Good. Then when you click on save, there's no problem. So this is where you are now. How to make a screen capture here? We have different ways of making screen capture, but this technique of making screen capture in a Word document is a particular technique because we have two ways. The first method is making a screen capture in a Word document. The second method is making a screen capture and save it as an image. In fact. So in the exam, they do not ask any image. In the exam, they are asking the screen capture in the Word document. Let me just show the two methods. Now, so yeah, to make a screen capture and save it inside a Word document is not difficult. So generally what happens is, on your keyboard, if you analyze very well the keyboard that you'll be having in the exam, I think after the key F12, I think you know where it's F12 on the keyboard. Generally beside there's a key they call print screen. Those using computers every day must know that key. In fact, you see a key they call print screen. You press on that key once. Good. So in my own case, I'm using Windows 11. That is why it's having this behavior, like he's asking me to select the portion I want to capture. But you people will be having Windows 10, and in Windows 10 they're not asking this. In fact, meaning that when you just press on that button, he's doing the screen capture automatically. Then you go back in your Word document. And you try to paste. In fact, so to paste here, you just right click, you see paste here, or you do Control V, and you realize that this is screen capture. So this is how we do. So please never forget, when you are in a Word document, look your keyboard, you see the button print screen. And if you are not even seeing the button print screen, you can raise your hand up and ask it, in fact, to any supervisor. But as I was saying, it depends on your hall. If your hall is very saturated, asking this type of question it's like you are disturbing. But if you are in a hall where you have few people and maybe you have two supervisors, then asking this type of question, you are not disturbing. In case you are not seeing, but it's visible, I'm already telling you. Good. So this is how you do so. So after doing this screen capture, you press enter so that you can add something. On there. And please, each time you are working, make sure you go to file, you click on save to save your modification, or you do Control S for those who know Control F. Control S just to save in file. Good. Not save as. Save as is when you want to create a file, but by the time the file has been created and you just want to save the new modification inside, it is save, not save as. Good. So here did the first part of the question. I did my I saved the document already. I saved the screen capture. Good. Now, but imagine that in the exam they are asking this same screen capture but as image. Good. So if you want the same screen capture as image, then you go at the level of the search bar. There is a tool we call snipping tool. But if you don't know that name, just type something like capture in the exam. If you type capture, you will see something like snipping tool appearing. My own, I don't know why my software is in French. I'm having Uchi capture l'écran. But in the exam, you will see snipping tool. You click on snipping tool. When you click on snipping tool, you will see something like new. You click on new. Good. And with snipping tool now, you are allowed to select the portion you want to screen capture. Good. So let me just select this portion like this. After selecting this portion, another window will appear, and that window will appear. You will see something like file, save as usual. In my own case, the interface is a little bit different because I'm using Windows 11. But you see something like file at the corner here. When you click on file, you click on save as, then this window will appear. When this window appears now, you go back, you take again your candidate folder inside your desktop, then you give the name. So that candidate folder, I think it was if I go back to desktop, this if here. I double tap and make sure I'm in, then you give the name. Good. If the name is maybe tax 1 or tax A, you write tax A, then you click on save. So using this method, in fact, it simply means that you are saving your screen capture as an image in your folder. But as I was telling you again, the GC board did not ask that. They ask you to save in a Word document. But I'm showing both because tomorrow they cannot change and you're not more saving in a Word document, but you're saving as an image. That's why I'm showing everything. Okay, so we are completely done with this question. I don't know if there's a particular problem. Any question? Is it okay?
Okay.
Okay, fine.
Mister.
I have a question.
Okay, so I'm having questions. Okay, yes.
So when you say that you go on your desktop and then you're going to see print, whether it's print or something like that.
Writing tool.
Keyboard.
You are saying to make screenshot.
Print.
Yes, I need to make. Is it to make the tab?
Lucas, so let me repeat myself. You want to make screenshot, you see, you have two methods. The first method is what? Doing your screenshot and saving it inside a Word document. Now, for me to save it inside a Word document, you must have that Word document and you open it. If you don't have the Word document, I created the Word document in front of you now. Good. Now, when you create it in front there, yes, when you have your Word document, the thing is empty like this. Now, how to add a screenshot here is very easy. Now, if I'm in database and this is the interface that I want to screenshot, because the first thing you must know what you want to screenshot, and the question asks us to screenshot this relationship panel. Good. Now, if I want to screenshot this relationship panel using that method of saving in a Word document, just look on your keyboard, you see a button print screen, and then that button is generally at the level of that top level. How can I say it? That upper border of your keyboard, you see there beside F12, something like that, you see print screen is written. Sometimes it's abbreviated as PRG, then SC. You click.
I've seen it.
Good. You click on that one. Just click on that one. When you click on that one, he's doing the screen capture automatically. In my own case, when I'm clicking on that, he's asking me to select, but this is because I'm having Windows 11. In the exam, you will not have the same behavior. Take note. When you are done now, after clicking there, you just come and paste. Either you right click, you see paste here, or you do Control V. You maintain the button Control, you press on V. But sometimes since students don't know shortcut, I prefer to show you the manual method. The manual method is you right click, you see paste, you see paste option, you click on paste there and the capture will appear automatically. Good. Is it okay now?
Okay.
Good. Now after pasting now, don't forget to press enter so that your pointer should move somewhere down here. In case now you want to add maybe a new screen capture, you do it on that. Because some students, after doing the paste, they don't press enter. The day they have another screenshot, they come again and do Control V here, and the new screenshot will cover the previous one. That's why I'm always saying press enter and make sure your pointer is under the first screenshot, so that when you paste the next one, it will appear but under. Take note of that.
Okay.
Good. So be very vigilant. It's also true that don't be afraid of the exam. And we are not strict in the exam. When I say we are not strict, it simply means what? In the exam, even if a student is doing a mistake, when I'm printing, I'm going to rearrange it. In fact, like when the thing is superposed, I will rearrange the different capture before printing it. But I'm always saying, if you are in a center where there's population doing things like that, in fact, the supervisor will be angry. You see, good. But when there's time, everything is calm. We can help. We can do what we can do and things like that. So take note of that. But there's no time in the exam. There's no time. That's why I'm trying to show you all these things so that you work normally without disturbing someone. Okay, we go to the next question. Question 5. Now, question 5, they say, open the salary table in design view and make this change. Now, in your own case here, it depends the table you'll be having there. So this is just a sample as I was saying. So in my own case, I'm not having salary table. So let me just assume that my salary table is maybe this equipment. Let us assume that my salary table is this equipment table. Yes, good. It's my salary table here. Now, okay, let us continue with the question. They say open the salary table in the design view. So this is another point that if you don't understand this, in fact, it's finished for you. You cannot answer this question. They say in the design view, it simply means what? Because generally for you to visualize a table in database, you have two views. The first view here is what we call data sheet view, and the second is what we call design view. So when they say open in the design view, it simply means what? Let me just do it back. Because by default, the table are closed. You go at the level of the left bar, you identify your table first, you double tap to open the table like this, and when you double tap, by default, he's opening that table in the data sheet view. Now, you go back at the level of view, you move from data sheet to design view, you click there, and this is where they are asking you to come. Good. And it's from here now that you continue your question. But if you are not able to interpret that question and know that, okay, I'm supposed to do this and read here, this is your problem. It's your problem. Now you go to you continue the question. Now, after doing that, the first question they say add caption to the subject code field to read subject code. Now here also you need to know the meaning of caption. So caption here is just like how can I say it? In fact, a caption is just like a name that will display for user to see the table. Like generally, see, look at something. I want to mention something. See this design view in fact as the administrator view, and see the datasheet view now as the user view. So you are seeing that there are certain things that the administrator needs to see that the user doesn't need to see. Things like, for example, at the level of the design view, you are seeing things like data type and so on and so forth. The administrator is not doing something with the normal user is not doing something with data type. Your mic, please. Close your mic. Okay. A normal user is not doing anything with database. Imagine that you are working in a shop and your role is just to enter maybe the number of items sold during the day and things like that. You are just entering. You don't really care if the field that you are where you are entering is the data type is number, text, short text. You don't care about that. That's why I'm saying that this design view is for administrator and the datasheet view is for the users. Now, just that you realize that sometimes at the level of the design view, the name that you are giving for columns are not very, very beautiful. For example, when you see something like buyer IG, you see, you can change this name for the user view. Meaning what? In the design view for the administrator, it is buyer ID in reality. But for the user view, he's seen with another name here. So that is the meaning of caption. Caption simply means giving a name to a field for the user view. And the user view is at the level of what? Of the datasheet view. Example, let me just take example with this one. Let us say I want to add a caption for buyer ID and write something like buyer identification. Okay, so I want to write that caption. So what happened is you select the row that you want to create a caption, and if you look under here, there's another table. Generally, the table that you are seeing down here is helping you to do some modification on the table, is helping you to do some editing on the table, all these things at the level of the administrator view. And if you look very well, you see something like caption. Good, I think this caption here. So you click now here beside caption, you write the caption. Let us say my caption is maybe buyer identification. Good. You see, because I think that okay, maybe this name is beautiful for the user. The user seeing this name, he's going to understand everything easily. Now let me just click on equipment save. If you go back now to design to datasheet view, because datasheet view is the view of the user. If you click there, you realize that okay, let me just try to shift this. Let me shift this so that you should see well. You realize that now the column buyer ID is having by the name buyer identification. And it doesn't mean that I've changed the name of the field of the table. No, the name of the field is still buyer ID. Just that for the user view, I'm putting a particular name. So this name that you are putting for user view, we call it caption. And it's exactly what this question is asking you to do. So yeah, they are asking, they say add a caption to what? To subject code field to rate what? Subject code. It's simply now when you open, identify the column, subject code, you select it. Then when you go to caption, you write what? You write by this what? Subject code. So this exactly when you read the question, this is how you are interpreting and answering. Good. So the A part, any question? Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Fine. Okay. I think I'm explaining it well. Now we go to the B part. Now the B part, they say format the annual wage field to currency and select the currency euro. Good. Now, so yeah, they can ask you to, how can I say it? Currency here simply means a particular data type. So I'm assuming also everybody here to know the different type of data type. So in database, generally for integers, the data type is called number. For decimal number, it's called decimal. For how can I say? For money generally they are figures, integer. So you can still use number as data type for money. But by the time you need to add a currency, there's already a data type called currency that you must use. So let me just move back here. Let me go back to my design view. Good. See, like if at the level of quantity, you have seen that my quantity here, I'm having what? The data type, I've chosen number. So these are all the data type that exist. For date, if you're having maybe a field date and they ask for the data type, the data type here, date and time, number. Now, any field that have text, because sometimes things are confused with what we call text. A text is either combination of alphabets or combination of alphabet and numbers. take note of that. That's why sometimes we just say combination of characters, because a character can be a name, can be an alphabet, sorry, a number, a symbol, things like that. So by the time you mix it together, the data type is text. Now, short text and long text simply depend on your field. Imagine that you're having a field called name. It's very clear that you take what? Short text. But imagine that you're having a field called description. There you take now long text, because description simply means that you can write maybe a very long text there. So you choose it inside. So just to tell you that in the exam you are the one choosing within short text or long text, but know when to use them. Please know when to use them. It's all. I think it's okay there. Now, so let me go. So the question said that for the field annual wage, so assume that this quantity is my annual wage. So it simply means that when you go at the level of the design view, you are already there. You move here to the column data type. You click on the drop down button. You will see currency being written there. You click on currency. Good. When you click on currency, now they say that we should use the currency that we are using. Now, after clicking on currency, go back to the table below. The table below, the first row of that table, you will see something like format. At the level of format, that same line to the right, please, generally it's to the right. You click on that same line, you see that there's a drop down button there. You click on that drop down button. Now the drop down button, you try to check this euro here. They say that you should choose euro, so you choose this one. Good. There are different currency. There's percentage, in fact, based on what they are asking, you see it here. So they cannot ask something that is not found here. Good. So here I'm just choosing this one, euro. Good. And it's all. So when you save it, if I save and I go back now to the datasheet view, you will see that my quantity now is having what? Is having a currency. Good. It simply means that the original table surely was not having a currency, or maybe it was having another currency. So by doing this, you are changing now to add something new. So this is just a small manipulation. Fine. I think it's okay with that one. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Nice. We go to C. Now C, they say add a validation rule. Good. So validation rule is just like in programming, or let me just say like in algorithm, where you say if G's do that. Like validation rule simply means that we are placing a condition that if you don't respect that condition, we display a message telling you that no, you do not respect the condition. It's exactly what happened. Like example, generally when you are entering, there are some application where when you have a form and you want to enter maybe, I don't know, a password, if you enter a password maybe less than 8 characters, they will send a message telling you that no, enter a password more than 8 characters. You see, so the mic of someone, the mic, who is having that mic? Okay, we continue. Who is this? Okay, now, so it's exactly what they are asking here. So please, as I was telling you, I'm trying to explain first before answering the question, because in the exam you cannot have the same thing, but you can have something similar where you are supposed to reason, and it's that reasoning that I'm explaining here. So validation rule here simply means you have a particular rule that we want to fix. If you don't respect that rule, a message must appear. That is why look at the question well. The question say add a validation rule. Someone is disturbing me with the mic here. Who is this? I will just remove that person. I will just remove the people that don't have time to manage student and explaining.
Naomi. That Naomi. Remove that Naomi.
It's okay, I've made her mic. Because it's as if she's in class but she's not even following. That's why she's not getting when I'm saying that she should mute her mouth, her mic. Okay, we continue. So the question is saying this. The question is saying that add a validation rule which must be between 500,000 and 200,000. So what they are giving here is the condition. So please never forget that validation rule is just the condition. Now, besides validation rule is always working with what we call validation text. Validation text is simply now the message that will be displayed if the rule is not respected. Good. And in the exam they will give that. If they give the condition, they will give you that message directly. Like here, I'm having this condition. Like the wage, meaning that the salary here should be between what? 500,000 and 2 million. Good. And if you enter a salary out of this range, this is the message that will be displayed. The message, you have a message like wage must be between this and this. So let us do something similar here. Let me do something similar with the table equipment. So let me go to design view. Good. Never forget that any manipulation that you are using is at the level of the design view. Now, so what did I say? That I want to do it for the column quantity. So the column where you want to apply something, you select it first. After selecting now, you go at the level of the table under here. I even did something the last time. Okay, at the level of this table, you realize that there is something here called validation rule and validation text, and these are always used in parallel. So let me start with validation rule.
Can you position well position well the camera?
You're talking to me? Oh.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You are not seeing.
Wait. Are you not seeing this interface? Are you seeing?
I'm seeing, but I'm not seeing the data types. Where we have to adjust.
Where you're not seeing this?
You are seeing there, but at the level of currency, auto, and the rest, we are not seeing very well.
Now.
Yes, that plane.
Wait. Let me try to see if it is possible to zoom it. Sorry, it's not possible to zoom it. It's not. Generally, when I'm doing video, I'm zooming using a particular software. So since here I'm just I'm just recording my screen there, so it's not possible to zoom. It's not possible.
We can zoom, sir.
Pardon?
We can zoom.
Where? Because generally there's something at the bottom here to zoom, but I'm not seeing it here in my own software. I don't know why.
So it's okay. Also, you can zoom. It's okay. It's okay.
You be okay on your own side. Yes, zoom in. Yeah. It's even possible. I did not think about that. Yeah. You can zoom.
Okay.
Okay. You have seen the validation rule, validation text. So at the level of validation rule, you had your rule. Now let me just take the context of this quantity. Imagine that I want to fix a rule, maybe saying that okay, your quantity should be between 10 and 1. Okay, let us say 10 and 1. So your quantity should be between 10 and 1. It simply means that if you enter a quantity less than 1, I'm not accepting. If you enter a quantity greater than 10, I'm not accepting. I'm not accepting because I'm asking something between 1 and 10. So let us try to write that condition. So something between 1 simply means what? Greater than or equal to 1. Then generally you use the and. And here simply means and here is just a logical operator used to verify used to check two conditions at the same time. So the first condition here is if the value that the user will enter should be greater than or equal to 1, and that value also at the same time should be less than or equal to what? Less than or equal to 10. Example, if I enter something like 5, is 5 greater than or equal to 1? Yes. Is 5 less than or equal to 10? Yes. So you have seen that the number is between this range. If you enter 0 is not greater than or equal to 1, so you display a particular message. If you enter 11 is not less than 10. Good. So now let me just write at the level of validation text. Let me write a message that will be displayed if the user does not respect this rule. Let me just enter something like enter a valid quantity. Okay, so after doing this, now you save. So you go at the level of table equipment, you click on save. Here they say data. Okay, I need to remove this thing of currency first. Let me remove this and put back number. No, I'm not sure even it's a problem. Let me try to save. I did not save the previous one. Okay, data integrity rule has been changed. Existing data may not be valid. Okay. So the problem that I'm having is simply because I'm using a database of another question, and on this database I've applied some rules already. That's why when I'm applying something new, he's just sending a message telling me that he's going to modify this and that. But in the exam, you will not be having these windows, no, because you'll be having newly created database. Good. So I do not want to recreate database. In fact, you'll be wasting time for nothing. So let me just go to the datasheet view now. Let us try to see if this works. Wait, that this is a column quantity. Okay, like here, if I enter something like 12, I press enter, You say that I'm having a small window appearing with the message enter a valid quantity. You see, good. Now imagine I enter something like 5. Normally 5 should pass. You must enter a value in the so the message this other message has nothing to do with what we did. The other message is simply because I was telling you that I created this question normally is another past years, so I'm just trying to modify to show you some different thing. So but I think you are okay. What we wanted to check here is at the level of that validation rule. If you enter something like 0, you must have something like enter a valid quantity. So it's working perfectly. Good. Any question before we move? It's fine, right? Nice. It means what? I'm not getting you.
I mean that you need to come and just take that and 2 million and do it the way that you did, and then the thing is going to be okay.
Say it back, please. I'm not getting you.
So I'm saying that as I say at the validation rule, just come and put since that one is not working, but I start 100,000 and 2 million and do
Since which one is not working?
If you say you do not use the database table that they get another, you put your own.
No, what you're not understanding something. Yeah, I'm showing you how to do it. I'm not answering a question. I'm not answering a question. Like the table that you are seeing here is have nothing to do with that question. Are you there?
Yes, sir.
I'm just showing you how you would do it in the exam for your own question. Yeah, I'm trying to explain how things work. Are you there?
Yeah.
Go just that where I'm taking the example is a table. This is another exercise that I solved. I think maybe in one video like that. Good. That is why even you have created relationship before you. That's why I cannot really manipulate data the way I want like that, because I've created some rules before. And what I'm doing actually is disturbing the rules I created before. That is why sometimes you see some message error and error, but you will not be having that. Good. And someone said that she's not understanding. I don't know what you are not understanding here. Let me just click on okay here. Wait a minute. Okay. Now let me come back here. So one person is saying that she's not understanding. Yeah, you select the column, or let me say you select a field where you want to apply your rule. After selecting that field, you go back here at the level of this table. This is rule here, you apply the rule. Now you apply the message that will be displayed if this rule is not respected. And in the exam they will give you a particular rule. I'm just taking an example here that imagine that my rule is that I'm having a column quantity, and quantity should take values greater than, or let me just say quantity should take value between 1 and 10. If you have something like that in the exam, what's the meaning of between 1 and 10? Between 1 and 10 simply means that your number should be greater than or equals to 1, and it should be less than or equals to what? Or equals to 10. And it's what you are writing here. By the time you are writing and like that, the software will understand the and. Take note of that. So no need to stretch. The software will understand this and you write your message on there. Is it okay now? The person that was not understanding this. After that, you come and click equipment. In fact, you click your table, you save. When you save now, you go back to the design view. You try to enter something. You see that the rule will work. Is it okay? Okay. So I think we are done with that. We are done with ABC. Fine. So now question 6, they asked again something in the exam like, let us answer this other one. This question 6 was very, very easy, but if you never did it before, you'll be lost in the exam. You will not answer it. Okay, now this question 6, look at what they are asking. They say sort the surname field in ascending order. Good. So this is an example. So the question is, for you to answer this question, you need to know how to sort something. Now let me just take an example with let me take example of the table buyer. Okay, now let us say the question asks me to sort maybe first name in the table buyer. And remember that when they ask you to sort something, not as if it's just the column itself. No, you are sorting the full row. Just that the column that they are asking you to use is the column you will be taking as your reference to sort. Like Example, let us say they say we should use first name to sort the element in the database. So now you just come and click on the column, and generally to select a particular column, please, you look very well, and my pointer is having this arrow format, this black arrow format. When you have this before you click, this means you are selecting the full column. Now, beside the name of each attribute, you realize there is a small drop down beside. You click on the drop down. Now here you have set sort A to Z, meaning we are sending in ascending order, like what the question said, A to Z. If I click there, you realize that for my table, normally Angela here is what? The fourth person. But if I click on sort, Angela will move at the first position. Are you seeing? Good. Then Docmo second, and so on. So this is how we sort. You are seeing that there's nothing difficult, even just to click here and click on sort. But if you don't know it, how are you going to answer it? No. So please, this is how we sort elements. We go to the next question. The next question is saying, use the filter facility to show only records for mathematics and biology. Good. So in this same table, in fact, okay, how to do this one is very easy. Look at something. Let me just come back here. Now, when you have a particular table, like this table that we are having here, if the question asks that, okay, in the table buyer, because here we are at the level of the table buyer, if they say in the table buyer, display only the name Angela and Emmanuel, this is what the question is saying. That he just want to, for this table, we just want to see the row of Angela and the row of Emmanuel. The rest of the rows, we don't want to see them. How to do so is the same thing. You go in the column, the corresponding column, like where is the column having the names first? The column is called first name. You go there, you click again on that drop down button. You select the column first, sorry, okay. You click on the drop down button. When you click there, you see here text filter. At the level of text filter, under there are so many check boxes. So the first checkbox here is select all. So you click on that checkbox, select all, to remove the selection first. Select all simply means that he's trying to display all the different elements in that column. But here the question asks you to display what? Angela and Emmanuel. So where is Angela? This Angela. So generally in the exam, for your own table, they will list all the different data found in that column you selected, and you just select what they ask you to display. In my own case, I'm taking the case that, okay, they are asking us to display Angela and Emmanuel. So you select Angela, you select Emmanuel, then you click on OK. See how the table look like. So you see that here we are now having only the rows of Angela and Emmanuel. So this is how we do that one. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Good.
Right now.
Perfect. So take note of things like that, please. They can ask this type of question in the exam. Now, the next thing is someone calling. Is it okay?
So I came back at the level of the screenshot.
You are bringing us behind. What's the problem with screenshot? Are you just from coming, or you are there things?
Yes, I'm just from coming.
Good. Mean that I will post this video, you just look it back, or anyone in the, I don't know, in the live, you ask the person, or you wait, let me finish with the full question first before you ask your question, because what you are doing is interruption. Okay. Now we go to C. So we are done with this thing of selecting. So take note of this type of question where they are asking you to select particular data on a particular column to display. So this is how we do so. Good. Now the next thing they say, change the page to orientate what? Change the page orientation to landscape and print the result table, the resulting tables. Okay. Now, so how to do this type of thing? So generally we talk about the page orientation. We have normally the A4 page and we have the landscape page. Landscape page simply means it's like you're having the A4 paper, you just turn it the other side. So that's format. So how to do this type of thing in Access, because in Microsoft Word normally it's very easy to do it. So in Access, generally to do so, and remember that they are asking you to change the page orientation of that same table where you apply the searching and where you apply that filter, so you stay in the same interface. Good. Now to do so, you go to File. When you go to File, you click on Print. On Print, now you click on Print Preview. Print Preview, never forget. print that you are seeing up there is when you are trying to, I don't know, generate a PDF document that you save in your document, and there's even one question asking that. But yeah, they did not ask any, or they did not ask us to do so. What they are, let me go back to the question so that you should interpret it well. Yeah, they say change the page orientation to landscape and print the resulting table. So for us to change it to landscape, we need to go to print review. Wait, print review. Print preview, sorry, print preview. You click there. When you click there, you have something like this. Now, I think at the level of this nav bar, you are seeing landscape. So here is portrait landscape. Good. I click on landscape. When you click on landscape, you have something like this. Take note of that. Now, from there, if they ask you to print now, you see that there's a print button here. You can maybe click on. I think they ask us to print here. You click on print. When you click on print, and make sure that here it's PDF. Good. Because in the exam, you are not having a printer, or you're not the one printing it. In fact, the only thing you convert it to PDF format. So here I'm having a printer, but let me just change Microsoft print to PDF. Then you click on OK. From here now you choose your desktop, you choose your candidate folder. I think it was if. You click there, you give the name. In the exam, you precise which name to give. You just give the name, then you click on OK. Take note of that. Good. But now, no, you click at the level of 5. Okay, you are seeing from this interface.
Yes, sir.
From this interface, are you seeing 5? Under 5, you will see print. Under 5, you click there.
So it's when you press print preview before all this ribbon will appear now.
Exactly. And I'm even pressing print preview simply because they asked me to change the format from portrait to landscape. If you do not ask that, in fact, no need to click on print preview. In that case, in the exam, when you click on print, at this level, click on print directly without clicking on print preview. I'm clicking on print preview because I want to change the format from portrait to what? To landscape before printing. But if you don't ask this type of thing, you go directly. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Go, like you click on print directly without even passing here. Okay, and you save it in your folder. Good. So we go now to the next question. Okay, yeah, so in this document I'm trying to answer it for those that will be having the document. And it's all, I think it's all what they asked there. Is there any other case? Yes, it's all what they asked. It's all what they asked. So this is what group 1 had. Not this question, but the type of question is a little bit this.
Please don't forget to send the document in the group if possible.
Yes, so that we can revise it. I'm writing tomorrow.
No, I'm not saying.
Wasn't even interpreted.
No, explain. I'm not sending document in the group. No, the document are uploaded in the platform School for All. You go and download it there and use it there.
Yes, I sent the link for the platform already.
I think the link is in the okay. We just send it back, but the link is already there. Well, on the platform they say note. You just see something like note. You click on note. You follow instruction. You have the document. But anyway, at the end of the class here, you can go through. So this about database, and database I think it was 28 marks. Yes, 28. And now yes. And Excel now.
And Excel
28 marks.
Excel was 22.
The Excel was too much difficult. It was just normal.
No, it was normal thing. Nothing difficult there. Normal thing. Formatting this, formatting that, doing this, and so on and so forth. It was normal.
I hope it will be the same.
It was normal. If you have been practicing, I'm not seeing how you'll be having a problem there. It was normal. And now, okay. Okay, wait. Before we discuss about HTML, this another question we did not solve. Question 7. Yeah, they ask a query. Okay. Let us answer this question on query. Now, this is sample question. Let me just read this one. Then I will just open my Access and take another example. Like they ask something like this. They say create a query that select teachers with more than 10 years of experience. Now, when you see this type of thing, they say create a query that select teachers with more than 10 years of experience. Just try to look if in the table teacher there is a particular field talking about years of experience. And in our own case, yes, we had a field talking about that. So it simply means that this is one of the fields that you'll be using for your condition. Because saying more than 10 years, the condition here simply means greater than or equals to 10. In fact, the condition here simply means that years of experience. Where is it? Yeah, this column here. That for this column, we are trying to filter years greater than or equal to 10. That's the meaning of that sentence. And how to do it, we are going to work on that together. But it's not all. Let us read all. After that, the next thing they say, wait, that question. Okay. Okay, yeah, this is it. Create a query that selects teachers with more than 10 years of experience and annual wages between 800,000 and 1.5 million. Display only surname, year experience, annual wage, and subject name. Good. Now, so generally the technique with query. The technique is when you are reading your query, try to identify the tables that you'll be using for your query. Like here, I'm saying something like create a query that selects teachers with more. Automatically, the table teacher is included. Here we are okay. Now, they say with more than 10 experience. Now you ask yourself that, okay, experience is in which table? Experience is a column in which table? And experience is the column in the table what? Teacher. It's similar up to here, we are only working with the table teacher. Now you continue reading the question. They say an annual wages between 800,000 and 1.5 million. You ask yourself that, okay, annual wage is on which table? You go and you analyze your different table. I think annual wage was on the table, which table? On the table salary. So you are seeing that from here, you are seeing that you must also use the table what? Salary. Because if you want to manipulate annual wage, you must use the table what? Salary. So step one is always to identify table and identify which column are you manipulating in that table. This is the first step. By the time you can identify that, normally you should not have a problem. You should not have a problem. Now, but we continue. After saying that, after saying all these conditions, they precise something again. They precise something by saying that display only surname, years of experience, annual wage, and subject name. It simply means that you must add this column, you must add this column, you must add this column, you must add this column. Good. And you must display them. Let us try to do so. Now let me take a small example. Now, and generally, for you to create a query, you must create a relationship. That's why if someone doesn't even answer the question on a relationship, forget about that question. Don't even try to do something there. Good. Because you must create relationships first before you start creating query. So I don't want to enter deep there. Now, how to create a query? So let me close this print preview. Let me close the print preview. Okay, we are coming back here. Now, generally, the first thing that you are supposed to know is before creating a query, all your tables must be closed. Like here, I'm having a table equipment open and a table buyer open. You cannot create a query with table open. It's not possible. So the first thing is you right click, you click on close all. I did not save something. They're asking me to save though. I just click on save. So this is the first thing. You close everything. You go to create. You click on create. After creating on create, you will see something like query design. Query design, not query wizard. Query design. You click there. When you click there, now they will ask you to add your different tables. So here I was having the table equipment. You click. It's possible to add all at once, but let me just do it one by one so that no one should be lost. You add the table buyer, you add it. And I see that when I'm adding it, the relationship appears automatically. Good. So it means that you can make your query. Now when it appears like that, if you want to rearrange it something like this, or if you want to just leave it like that, it's not very important. Now, how to make your query? Now, let us say the query asks for, like that query, they ask for teacher, I think years of experience, something like that. Okay. Now, let me just modify this query. Let us say the query was asking something like, I don't know, users, get the question very well. They ask you to create a query that displays users, that, let me just think first. I want to modify this. Okay. Let me try to modify this query with this. I'm analyzing this table to think about a query that we can use here. Let me analyze it again. I can ask you to display someone is sleeping. I'm seeing someone sleeping here. Okay, you listen.
Not easy.
It's easy. Listen. Now I can ask you to display users who bought product of who bought in fact more than 5 equipment. Okay, I'm asking you to display users who bought more than 5 equipment. So how to do so? Now let us say I'm asking you to display maybe the name of these users. Now the first name, like on the table buyer, you use the first name here. So to add the first name, just double tap. You double tap. Good. And I'm asking you to display buyers or users in fact who bought more than 5 items. When I say more than 5 items, are you seeing that here? For you to count the number of items, you must use the column what? Quantity. It means that you go here, you double tap on quantity. Good. Now in my query, I did not ask you to display quantity. I'm just asking you to display the first name of buyers with a particular number of quantity. So it simply means that at the level of quantity, you see a show. You uncheck this box. You uncheck it. So when you're done with this box, at the level of criteria, this is where you're writing your condition. So here I'm asking buyers who bought more than 3 items. Let me say it like that. So now more than 3 simply means greater than what? Greater than 3. You just write it like that, you press enter, and it's going to arrange the formula for you. Make sure you uncheck what? The column that they do not ask you to display. Good. Because sometimes there are some columns we use for criteria, like there are some columns we use for condition, but the question is not asking you to display, so you just uncheck it in fact. So after writing your query now, you click on run. If you are not seeing run, because sometimes students are doing some manipulation and they are not more seeing this run. If you are not seeing this run, make sure that you click here on design, query tools, here design, you click there first, because this is where you are supposed to be. When you click there now, you go, you will see your run, you click on run, and this the query appearing here. Good. So it simply means that all this name appearing here, they bought more than 3 items. Now let us say the question is asking you to display also this item, in fact like the number of items. If they are asking you to display the number of items, it simply means that if you move back here, good. If you move back here, please remember that here you are at the level of the query view. So you go back here, you click on design view. Now if they ask you to display quantity, you just check this quantity column, you click again on run. You see that this time around now he's going to display first name and display the quantity at the same time. And if you analyze all this quantity, you realize it's more than 3. So this is how you do so. This is how you do so, please. And they add something today in the exam. After doing that, they ask the user to display what is it? Yeah, you had a question like this. They say switch to SQL view, copy the SQL code and paste into your screen capture Word document. Go. So how to do so? So yeah, for this question, they are asking you in fact to copy the SQL code of the query you did. And to copy that code is very easy. You go at the level of view. The question even precise that go to SQL view. This SQL view here. You click on the SQL view, you will see your query. And what is the question asking you? The question is asking you to copy this query. Control C. You go in that your Word document. Where is that Word document? Good. Where we did the first screen capture, and you paste it there. This is what the question is asking you to do. It's all. So after writing the query, you go just to here, view, SQL view, you copy it, you paste it there. It's what the question is asking. And when you paste, you save again. Control S, you save. Good. When you are done now, you can close everything. Even the software, you can close everything. So yeah, I'm not saving. It's all. So this is all what they ask for database. So these are the different type of thing you can see tomorrow. You can see tomorrow. Good. I think we are done. We are done. Any questions?
So please can you repeat the last? Please can you repeat the last? The question B. The last question B for the SQL.
No, the problem is not the question. The problem is just to understand how to do queries. I said that generally when you read a particular query, what happens is identify which table is involved and which column is involved in that table. It's all. By the time you are aware of which table is involved, it's okay when you have even closed the software already. By the time you have identified that, in fact, just go at the level of your relation, you double tap the column you want to, you double tap the thing will appear down, you double tap, you appear down. Now, if there's any column that you have chosen and there's a particular condition, there's criteria under, you write your criteria under that column. If the question have not asked you to display maybe a particular column, you just there's a checkbox here, you just uncheck it in fact, and it's all. And it's all. And this is not the first time I'm solving query question. All the different videos I'm even having a video just specially for query. So I think it's where we are ending. So for the rest, I think it's okay, right?
Yes,
So
sir.
what is that? This one is having
And
primary
for
key.
Excel.
And for Excel, now we don't really have time to work on Excel now. When I say we don't have time, it's because the question there, these are things you can answer. If you do not watch the sample GC I did on Excel, it simply means that your problem is you. The problem is not me. I did almost everything. I sent sample GC for Excel. I sent Excel June 22. These are 2 past years that I solved from start to end, and I was explaining everything there. So with that, you can have the knowledge to attempt a question in the exam. So we don't really have time. You see, tomorrow I need to work again. So you cannot really start good. That's why I'm saying that don't think that every day everything is like at the last minute. No. I send the video things concerning all these things. So I just wanted to help today, like maybe with just something I did, and it's all. And even the fact that I'm saying that database and spreadsheet are the most important task, it's not something I'm saying today. I'm saying those type of things, saying. So it's a little bit that. So I think it's okay. It's okay. So I can just wish you good luck for your exam tomorrow.
Okay, sir. Thank you.